Nature is full of bad jokes, and the punchline is usually extinction. But every once in a while, evolution gets drunk and creates something like this. Turritopsis dohrnii. Dohrnii, whatever. Anyway, the immortal jellyfish. It's a tiny jellyfish that has, in theory, found a way to live forever. It's a biological God mode cheat code wrapped in a blob of goo the size of your pinky nail. Now, let's get something out of the way immediately. Bob here, our immortal jellyfish, is not immortal. It doesn't have God mode enabled, it's not immune to being eaten, stepped on, sucked into a boat engine. It dies. In fact, most of them die. So why the name? Because it has a biological get-out-of-jail-free card. A panic button, if you will. It's not really immortality as much as just a factory reset. Most animals follow a one-way street. You're born, you get old, you reproduce, you decay, you end. That's the deal. But Bob here, the immortal jelly, found a loophole. When it gets stressed, and I mean really stressed, like starvation or physical damage, it does something no other animal can. It ages in reverse. Here's how it's supposed to work. A jellyfish starts as an egg, and then quickly a larva, which is basically a weird, hairy tic-tac floating in the ocean. It then finds a nice rock, sticks to it, and turns into a polyp. This looks like a sad, tiny sea anemone. This little stalk then starts cloning itself, budding off baby jellyfish called medusae. The medusae is the belly-shaped floating blob you actually recognize as a jellyfish. It grows up, releases its own eggs and sperm, and then it dies. End of story. The immortal jellyfish follows these rules, well, until it doesn't. When it's about to die, instead of giving up, it retracts its tentacles, shrinks into a blob, and becomes a cyst again. This little ball of cells then falls to the seafloor. Over the next 24 to 36 hours, Bob here transforms back into a polyp. It doesn't just heal, he reverts. It's like a butterfly that, instead of dying, decides to turn back into a caterpillar and do the whole thing over again. This just isn't regeneration, like when the salamander's arm gets cut off and it grows a new one. This jelly grows a whole new body from our previous life stage. The scientific term is transdifferentiation, and it's a biological flex. Transdifferentiation means that cells can change jobs. Imagine a brick in your house deciding it's tired of being a brick, and then turns into a window. Or a plumber. Well, that's what happens here. A muscle cell can become a nerve cell. A skin cell can become a reproductive cell. The adult jellyfish essentially melts down its specialized cells into a pool of do-anything cells, and then rebuilds itself into a completely different, younger body plan. And the best part? We found this out by accident. In the 1980s, some students were keeping these tiny jellyfish in a jar. They watched them grow up, expected them to spawn and die. But when they checked the jar again, it was full of new polyps. No spawning, no larvae. The adults had just, reset. It was so weird, it took years for anyone to really take it seriously. So, how does Bob pull this off? For decades, we had no idea. But in 2022, scientists finally sequenced the entire genome of immortal jellyfish and compared it to his immortal cousin, the crimson jellyfish. And I can't tell the difference between them either. What they found wasn't one magic immortality gene, it was a whole suite of upgrades. It's like this jellyfish paid for the premium version of the DNA repair toolkit. Turns out that our lovable friend here, the immortal jelly, has extra copies of genes associated with DNA repair and protection. And at the same time, it activates a set of master keys that tells the cells they can become anything again, a state scientists call pluripotency. It's a controlled demolition and reconstruction at the cellular level. It's not just patching up damage, it's tearing down the building and starting from its original blueprint. This process is so efficient that one scientist, Kubota in Japan, has managed to keep a colony going since the 1990s. He's watched them rejuvenate over and over again, sometimes as often as once a month. He's basically the world's most dedicated jellyfish babysitter, even having to slice up their food under a microscope. Which brings us back to the myth, immortality. It's a great headline, but it's a lie. This jellyfish isn't immortal, it's really just good at starting over. It can't die of old age, but it can absolutely be killed, and most are. They're a favorite snack for sea turtles, fish, and even sea slugs. And they're tiny, about 4.5 millimeters across, and defenseless. They're less of a god and more of a gamer who just learned how to reload from a previous save. So you have a choice. Get eaten by a fish, or get so stressed you melt into a blob and hope you can start over. Tell me in the comments which terrible fate you'd prefer. There's no wrong answer here. They're both awful. And here's where it gets even weirder, as if it could. This homeboy, which started off in the Mediterranean, has silently taken over the world. And there's no way they can swim that far. So what did they do? Well, they hitchhiked. They get sucked into the ballast water of massive cargo ships. For any other animal, a dark, foodless tank for weeks would be a death sentence. For Bob here, it's just an inconvenience. It gets stressed, hits the reset button, turns into a polyp on the side of the tank, and waits. And when the ship dumps its water into a new port, the jellyfish just buds off a new set of medusae and starts a new colony. It's a global invasion perpetrated by a creature that doesn't even know what a boat is. So no, this jellyfish doesn't hold the secret to eternal life for us, but it might hold clues to fighting one of our biggest killers. Cancer is basically what happens when cells forget how to die. They divide uncontrollably. This jelly's trick is that it has mastered the art of controlled reprogramming. It can tell its cells to revert, but it also knows how to stop them. It's like it has the cheat codes to both cellular life and death. By studying the genetic switches it flips to go from adult to polyp and back again, we might learn how to switch off the mechanisms that drive diseases like cancer. It's not about living forever. It's about understanding the rule book of our own cells so we can fix them when they break. So, the immortal jellyfish is a lie. It's a marketing gimmick for a creature that's less of a god and more of a biological escape artist. It doesn't conquer death, it just keeps running away from it. And in the process, it has exposed a fundamental truth. Nature doesn't care about living forever. It only cares about living long enough to try again. This tiny fragile blob is an undisputed champion of the do-over. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.